Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we are going to make some rings today using leftover beads from old Bargain Bead Boxes. I think there's a couple of them. One is Summer Sunrise and the other one is even the one before that, which was lots of pinks. So we've got our beads and we've got some wire, and let's turn down and I'll show you what we plan on doing. So we have a ring mandrel. This one being steel is much more accurate than the plastic style, but they are all marked along here, our sizing. We have these beads are from Summer Sunrise. We're going to use some brown 20 gauge wire with that. These beads are also from Summer Sunrise. We're going to use some magenta wire with those. And these beads are from the kit before that one. We'll also use magenta wire with that. I do not remember what this kit was called. It was the spring one. It might have been Spring Blossoms or something like that. I am going to get a couple of bead caps. This rose quartz is damaged, so we'll put a bead cap on it to hide that damage some. So the first thing we need to do, besides getting these bead caps, is to cut some wire, whichever one we plan on doing first. So I think we'll do this one first. It's the simplest. So we just need to get out about, I usually just pull a length out. I'll pull a length out and then we'll see how much it ends up being. Now these coated wires, you got to be a little careful with them because they will, the coating will come off of them. That looks good right there. So we'll cut this right here. We'll keep this here because we're going to use it for our other pink one here. This does have a sharp end on this end, so we'll flush it out. Then I'm going to take, and even though I probably won't, I might cut the end off if I have enough. I'm going, just in case I don't, I'm going to file the end just a little bit to get the sharpness out of it. So the first thing you want to do after that is get your ring mandrel out. Now, you'll need to go up at least one, maybe two sizes before you start wrapping from what you want. It doesn't always make any difference. It doesn't to a lot of my beads because, frankly, I still end up frequently with it not being the size I was actually going for. It's a little tricky. The rings don't always want to be what you want them to be. So this is going to be a simple straight across little ring as far as the beads are concerned. So I am just going to feed them onto here. I'm going to go with an agate, a spacer, this yellow English cut or star cut, depending on how you want to call it, another spacer, and the other agate. So then we'll roll these around till they're where you want them. This agate doesn't want to roll as easy as the others. This is the middle wire. So you want, come on babies, go back up there. You want your beads on either this wire or this wire. So since I've got the beads on now, I'm going to feed them back onto here. Pull these tight, push them together, and then they're going to go around. Like so. Actually, I should have brought them all the way back to the other side. So just get them on, and then, like I say, you want to bring them over. These are what's going to hold your beads where you've got them at. So now that you've got your beads like that, hold your wire together. Take the wire you pulled around and tuck it through the beads. And try to pull it tight without pulling it too out of whack. Now you're going to do the same on this side. Tuck your wire in here and pull it around. Now push it up so it's right beside the other one. Now wrap it a couple of times. I usually wrap about 3, maybe 4. Now, as you can see, it's pushed your beads way up, so put it back down on the mandrel and push it down, and push your beads down as you go so that they go back down into place. See how they're now closer to being down in place than they were before? Come on, focus. Anyway, once those are down like that, and you've got it back into place, this looks like it's going to be about a size 8 ring. Pull her back off. Check to see how she's looking. If you need to push it down some, go for it, or push the wires up, as the case may be. And now we're going to go and do our next step. The next step for this one is to take our side pieces, get them as straight as possible, take some tiny round nose pliers, and do start a spiral. Now, because this has got, it's not too bad, so I think we'll just go with it. We'll take our flat nose pliers now and wrap it in a spiral. And then when you've got that spiral like that, push it up so it meets your beads up here. Now we'll do the same on this side, making our tiny circle. Now grab it with our flat nose and wrap her up. We meet the end here, flip it up and over so that it's meeting your beads here, and this ring is now finished. And it turns out to be a size 8. So there's ring number 1. So put that aside. Ring number 2 is going to be the brown wire, so we'll get that out. Did I measure that wire? I don't think I did I? So let's, when we get the brown wire out, let's measure it. So, cut about right there. why are you not? Oh, clip's going crooked. Cut the wire. And we're done with the brown wire after this ring, so we can just put it aside. Cut the sharp end off this side. And let's measure this. It is 12, about 15 inches. If you want a smaller ring, you don't need quite that much. I usually cut like 12 if I'm doing something small. Now this is really bent, so I'm going to use my go. Now I'm not caring about what size these rings are, so I am just gonna and I only need 2 of these, so I will probably put the 4th one in my bead soup, or 3rd one. So again, we want to just take our wire, pick a place, and just start pushing it around. So I've got this wrapped so that it's got 3 wraps in the back. You could do it for 4 if you wished, and if you'd cut yourself enough wire. In all actuality, this ring actually needs 4 wires. So let's get this around like so. Okay. I needed 3 top wires like this because the big orange bead is going to go in the middle and the bicones are going to go on either side here. So let's put them on and I'll show you what I mean. So this guy needs to come around. Oh, are you going to be stubborn and not go around the rings? Ugh, looks like it is. Well, if that's the case, we will have to respin it. Well, to a degree, because this one needs to go in the middle, but we don't want our wires all wonked out like this. So let's put it back on our mandrel. No rings, stay there. And we'll pull her back up. Now, because this bead is on here, we're going to have a big bit of a bump right here in the middle. And, you know, that's the way it goes. So let's pull those out now. Now let's see if these little bicones will behave better than that guy did. Come on, baby, go on. They only have to go around like this. Because they are going to sit sideways like this to our ring. So when it comes around, our bicones are going to be, let's get these on here. So our bicones are going to be snugged up, and you are not coming around properly, like here. Then we'll pull this one back up where it belongs, and this wire is going to snug around here. And that's going to hold all our wires in place when we tighten them up. So hold on to our wires here. And this one comes, stay put baby, through here. Now I just released the bicone. We got to be careful of that because we don't want the bicone to leave in this spot right here. So we're going to tighten that up and hold the bicone in place. We're going to do the same now on this side. Feed this wire through going this direction. Like I say, we want to make sure our bicone stays where it's supposed to be there. Now this wire is not tightening properly, so I'm going to have to wiggle it a bit here because it should have come all the way across. And there we go, that's better, I think. Now we're going to push our orange one down some because remember that wire raised up on us. So now it's going to look like so. Now our wires underneath are spreading some. That's all right. We're going to wrap a couple of wraps in here. In fact, I think we'll do 3 or 4. That should be good. Now we see we pulled that out of whack again, so let's push these back down like we want them to be. You might have to strong arm it a little bit. That's all right if you need to. Just as long as you don't push so hard that you break one of the beads. Now you see how that's out of whack? We want to push our back on here and push it down. And as you can see, it's now only about a 4.5, 5 ring instead of what we started with. So there we go. Now we're going to cut those little ends off and tuck them in. We're going to lift them before we cut them, and the reason for that is because we are going to file the ends just a little bit, and we don't want to be rubbing onto our colored wire when we do that, if we can help it. Oh, that's a little sharp still there. And when you've got those where you want them, then take your chain nose pliers and just wrap it into place carefully so that you hopefully do not rack out your colored wire. Now you'll notice I'm rubbing my finger across it. That's to see if there's any sharp burrs or anything still poking up. And that feels good. So now I am going to put it back on the mandrel and get it back into shape. You see these wires have changed where I've wanted them at, and that's partly from my pushing on it like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumbnail and I'm going to push this wire up some, and the same with this one. Got to be careful when you're doing this one because you don't want to break your crystal. So there we go. There's our ring finished. Pretty. So that's ring number 2. Okay, and now ring number 3. This one is using these 3. Come on, you come down. And I believe that finishes off the rose quartz. Like I say, it has a little damage here, so we're going to put a bead cap on that side. So it's going to, like so. We're going to put a bead cap on both sides actually, but then these are going to go on the sides. So let's get our wire out. We're again going to use the magenta. And per usual, I'm just going to take hold of a piece and just pull it out to the length about I want it. And then we'll trim it off. So now we're done with the magenta wire. And we'll just straighten this. I'm just going to finger straighten this time. So what we're going to do is we put this on here again, pull it around. Let's make it a little bigger this time, I think. It'll be easier to work with these beads with it's a little bigger. And then up and around. Oop, I crossed it in the back. We don't want to do that. So let's get these figured out here, because I definitely crossed it. You don't want to cross them because if they're crossed, you're going to cross them a little bit as you pull them together. But if they're way crossed, then what you're going to have happen is that it's going to be uncomfortable. So now we'll feed our beads on, and hopefully they'll roll around without giving us any problem. Bead cap, the rose quartz, bead cap, and this one. Now, if you have enough wire, you could do the 4, and that might be good because that'll leave a wire on either side of our beads here. But if that's the case, we need it to roll around to the next side over. So let's see if we can get her to do that. Looks like one's already over there. Okay. All right, we're where we need them to be. Now I need to straighten this one wire up because it's really crooked. Come on, bead, get back up here. Where'd you go? There you are. Ding. Well, we were way bigger than that, weren't we? And so now we've got the wires in the beads in the middle, with a wire on either side, and I want more wire, so I want them to even out. So let's slide these around a little more so the wire is more even. Still not quite even, but it's a lot better than it was. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to take one of these wires and we're going to go around one of these side beads, like so. We're going to do the same thing with the other one. Now this is a little tricky because it will try to come off on you. You need to just pull her tight and hold on while you're doing it so that she stays pretty much in place. Then bring this all the way around this bead in the bottom that you've just encircled. You want it to stay on, the wire to stay on, but that's what's going to keep your beads where you want them. So, like I say, keep your bead down in here why you bring this around and through to the other side. See, you're down in there. Now just bring her like this. Make at least one loop so you can get her in there pretty good. She's going to try and come out. Like I say, you need to use your fingernails or a small dowel or something to keep her in place there. Push this one up. Bring her around. Or I guess it could be a him, but I always call her her. And bring her through. Keeping her tight right there as you do so. Now see how that looks. Now this one is a little looser than I want it, so let's see if I can tighten it up there so that it holds our bead cap up there on top of our rose quartz. So let's push her up just a bit there. Push our wire down in. Same with this one. Push her up and push your, now see, she's sliding. So we need you tightened. We don't want you sliding around. Push it in. And our bead cap is still falling off, probably because our rose quartz, ooh, we've all raised up some. So now we need to push this down. We're going to put it back on the ring mandrel. We're going to push things down. And because these two wires have gone underneath here, I'm going to take my thumbnail and get underneath it, separate them, and bring this wire out here. Oop, I didn't get them separated. I've got them both there. Don't want that. Okay, there we go. And we'll pull the other one over to this side. Or push the other one over to this side, as the case may be. And it looks like I may have damaged the coating on the wire just a little bit. Hopefully not too badly. But we need that wire to go over there, so our rose quartz can slide down into that slot. So let's put it back on a mandrel. You'll notice our rose quartz is now going crooked. We don't want that. Straighten her out. Now see, we can see that wire down there, but this wire is still a little bit not there. So we want to bring this up here, and we want to do the same over here. Bring the wire up so you can see it. And push our rose quartz down in the middle between. Now you are way out of whackers here. Ah, you've slipped off. Okay, now that's one thing you have to watch for. And I'm going to put it on the mandrel to fix it because it's easier that way if it's nice and tight. So this has come loose. We need to push her back in place. And the same with this side. Now this one isn't as loose, but it is loose, but it's not bad. So we want all those things to be nice and tight up here. And since they appear that they are not, we are going to have to tighten things up as much as we can. Okay, push you down. Push you down. And I think this one still needs to come over some. Ooh, too much. Because now I've got it way out of whack here. Okay. Okay. Now if you've got it tightened to your happiness and your wires are still going out on the side, your rose quartz is in the middle, then you can start winding these wraps up over here. And do at least 3. I like to do, well, you know, it's one of those things that if your sizing is too big and you've got plenty of wire left here, you can wrap it until you get it to the size you want, if you can, because this wire is, remember when you were kids and your boyfriend's ring was too big for you, and what you did was wrapped the piece of string around it? This is sort of the same concept, except for it's a piece of wire and it will wrap the wire around. And I just pulled this back out again. Gonna have to straighten that out some. I was trying to get this guy in better, and there, that's better. So anyway, so this, like I say, this wire acts as the same concept as that string used to on your boyfriend's ring when you were going steady. So just wrap as many times as you want. I like to do at least 3. 3 on either side, I think. Nope, this isn't 3. Well, it will be once I finish it. So push our wires up. Straighten ourselves out here because we're crooked again here. And we'll have to straighten that. It's because the wire's bent back underneath the stones again. So then we're going to cut these wires off, giving us plenty of space to do a little bit of oh, I just racked the color off that one a little bit. Now you can use a burr cup for this. It actually works really well. And I have one around here somewhere, but I'm not sure where it's at. So just carefully push her down. I keep okay. Now that we've got that done, the next step of this is to refigure our wire here, because like I say, we've got it pulled out again. See how this wire is right here, but this one is not. I need to see if I can get this one to come out some. And push those down in. And there we have ring number 3. Now that one took a little longer to make than the other 2, but I think they all turned out very pretty. And I hope you enjoyed making them with me. Okie dokie, there are our 3 rings made from these 2 from the Bargain Bead Box leftover beads Summer Sunrise, and this one from, I can't remember, it's something to do with spring. I think it was the May box. But those are our 3 rings that we made with our leftover beads from Bargain Bead Box. You only need a few beads. Frankly, you only need 1 bead and you can make a ring. I use 20 gauge wire. Some people like a smaller gauge or even a larger gauge, but that is the ring size. The wire I use is always 20 gauge. I always do at least 3 bars around the back, sometimes 4 depending on what I'm making. Like this one has 4. So I hope you enjoyed making these with me. Again, these are from various leftover beads from Bargain Bead Box, and this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.